The Unchanging Polaris. Written by Arsonide and read by Ketchup Tears. Summary. Mira asks, so, what? We're just going to pretend Polytrix isn't top 1 on the global trending list right now? Rumi physically freezes. It looks like it takes her a moment to compute what Mira had said. Then she finishes stiffly. It's what? Mira's never been one to lie, and lo and behold, hashtag Polytrix was indeed pressed up as #1 on their social media app they're staring at. Zoe glances down at the related hashtags trending with it. Hashtag it's real. Hashtag Polytrix on top. Hashtag Rumi on bottom. Hashtag Huntrix girls. Hashtag to the gay world. Or Mira, Rumi, and Zoe get caught in the middle of their fan shipping war, but maybe one ship in particular has more substance than the others. Chapter 1. Hashtag Polytrix is real. As a shock to no one, the virus starts with something that Zoe instigates. Patience 0, if she says so herself. Or what's the saying, patient 0? She honestly can't remember, especially when she's too focused on clutching up this round for her faithful stream viewers. Zoe groans and leans back from her screen to push the heels of her palm into her eye sockets. What the hell? She screams at the screen. Her chat is going crazy on her other monitor, words zooming past the screen before she can take it all in. She captures enough snippets to know that they're laughing, though, if the spam cap locks and emojis had anything to say about it. Zoe looks at her camera in disbelief, then back to the game, then accuses. Chat, you saw that, right? Chat, tell me you saw that. They were hacking. No way they could shoot me through the stupid wall like that. She watches her chat for a few seconds, nodding and smiling in satisfaction when most of her fans seem to be in agreement with her. The game that she's playing loads her back into the next round, and Zoe sighs and straightens her back. She shakes her head as she grumbles into her gaming mic. Bro, I could have had that. Do you think I should report that dude for wall hacks? Oh, wait, don't answer that. New strategy. I'm just gonna kick his ass this round. Zoe picks up her gun and bunny hops around the map. Watch this, chat, she declares with pride. The enemy team swarms her from around all sides in her area. Sweating, Zoe presses her eyeballs 2 inches from the screen to account for every moving pixel. She spams her mouse. One enemy goes down, and so does the one right behind them. Zoe screams, partly in fear, partly in surprise that she actually managed a headshot. She's practically jumping in her seat with anticipation while she loops around the same structure as the last enemy. She's sweating. She can feel the chat watching her with just as much suspense. She spots the enemy. Zoe's arms tense as she flicks her mouse and, yeah! Fuck yeah! Zoe screams, jumping up from her gaming chair. She's screeching louder than she ever had in her tiny gaming room, the one that used to be the spare guest room until Zoe had begged and begged Mira and Rumi to refurbish it for her. Without proper ventilation, it's hotter in the room than anywhere else in their apartment, but Zoe doesn't really care, especially not when she had just won her first 1v1 with the top fragger on the enemy team. Zoe manages to calm down enough to buy a new gun and get onto site to defend. She's taking her chat through a deep breathing method that Mira taught her a long time ago while they wait for the round to start. Zoe smiles as she glances back at her chat monitor, letting her eyes lazily graze the words whizzing past. Some of them make her giggle. Mira Lover 69. Zoe, I heard if you press Alt plus F4, you get a secret gun skin. Huntrix Fanboy 22. What rank is this? I'll carry you, queen. Suffix for Zoe. Zoe, bae, your aim is giving me a heart attack. Arsonide. Bro's cooking. I told you guys I was getting better. Zoe insists, lurking and shift walking through the enemy spawn when she finds no one on the site. The chat is still active as ever on her other monitor. She chastises. Wait, let me cook. Let me... An enemy flicks right onto her head and headshots her right where she is. Zoe shouts in horror. Her fans have taken to spamming LOL in chat. What? She looks at the camera, hands gripping into her scalp in frustration. And it was the same dude. It was the same dude that was wall hacking me. There's no way. There's no... Zoe? Rumi's muffled voice calls from the other side of the door. Rumi knocks once, and Zoe throws an invitation for her to come in over her shoulder. Rumi opens the door just enough to peek at her. She glances at Zoe's excited chat next, and an apprehensive look on her face morphs into a shy smile while Zoe waves at the camera. "What's up?" Zoe asks casually, taking off her headphones and spinning around in her chair to face Rumi. Her teammates are still alive, so she's not worried about being needed in game right now. Zoe can see herself and Rumi on the reflected stream video, but Rumi has walked in on our streams long enough that she knows that Rumi doesn't really care. If anything, it looks like Rumi enjoys the way that her chat quadruples in speed whenever she comes in. Not that Rumi would ever admit that to her. "I'm going to bed soon," Rumi says quietly. Zoe can practically hear thousands of fans turning up the volume on their devices to listen in and hinge on Rumi's every word. "I just came to ask you if you could, turn it down a little, I guess? And also maybe ask if you're okay?" "Oh, sure," Zoe says automatically. She gives Rumi a sheepish smile, one that she hopes conveys her apology. Tucking her hands into her folded lap, she adds, "Why wouldn't I be okay?" "Mira and I heard you screaming all the way from the living room." Rumi deadpans. Zoe's sheepish smile just widens. "At least it sounds like good screaming. Are you winning?" She glances at Zoe's monitor, and Zoe has to bite the tip of her tongue to keep from laughing. Zoe looks at the game. She has 2 teammates still alive, and it seems like the enemy team hasn't even pushed in yet. So there's no reason for her to rush the conversation with Rumi, which is great, because she likes talking to Rumi. Zoe shrugs and answers Rumi. "Well, we're 8-9 right now, so we're not winning, but we're kind of winning, and we'll probably be winning at the end because my back is breaking from carrying this team. Does that make sense?" Rumi's face tells her that no, that does not make sense. But Rumi nods vehemently and replies, "Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. Are you going to bed soon after your..." She waves at Zoe's entire gaming setup, looking lost. Zoe laughs. "I will," she promises, biting on the inside of her cheek as she leans forward to Rumi to beckon her closer. Rumi bends at the hips, lending her ear in a way so easily familiar to them both, and Zoe giggles as she whispers in Rumi's ear, "I left some of Mira's ice cream on the counter. Can you put it back in the freezer before she notices?" Breathing out a laugh, Rumi straightens up and looks at her with an exasperated smile. She already has one hand wrapped around the doorknob to make her exit. She glances back at Zoe's chat, waves at the camera, then says, "Have fun, you guys. Tag me in any clips where Zoe's losing so I can show Mira." "Rumi," Zoe whines, but Rumi is already laughing as she leaves and closes Zoe's door. Shaking her head and slapping her cheeks to get herself battle ready when her last teammate finally dies to a sniper, Zoe pushes her chair back into her desk and hunches over the screen. She knows that there's a big chance she's going to get a massive headache in the morning for gaming this long. But that's a problem for near future Zoe, not present Zoe. "Sorry, chat, I'm back," Zoe chirps, clasping her hands together and rubbing them. "Anyone have anything good to share with the class while we wait?" She's still spectating her teammates, who seem to be running all the way from one site to the other, so that gives her ample time alone with her fans. She leans closer to her monitor to check what questions they seem to have for her. "When's your next album coming out?" "Oh, probably later this year," Zoe says offhandedly. She looks up to the corner of her room to pause and think. "Mira's almost done with choreographing most of our songs, and I think we locked in the track list. Don't quote me on that. No, seriously, Rumi's going to kill me if she sees another article about something I said on here." She huffs at the memory. The stupid streaming site and their stupid clips out of context. Zoe looks back at her main monitor. Her teammates are rushing the site, so there's nothing to worry about. She glances back at the chat to answer one more question. "Your English is good. Thanks," Zoe says, curling her lips into a pressed smile. "So, fun fact, I'm actually from California." Zoe scratches the side of her head while she reads through the questions for her. Her chat is going way too fast for her to take in properly, but she thankfully doesn't have to focus on that for long when the game suddenly responds her. "All right, chat," she starts, huffing and puffing to get herself psyched up for hopefully a great round. What's the strat for this round? Should I try sneaking again? They won't expect me twice, right? Zoe glances at the chat, ready to read all the strategy talking points that her super smart fans must be brewing up. But that's not what she finds. Guys, come on, she complains again. Rumi's GF 123. Oh my god. What were you guys talking about, huh? Huntrix do K-stand. Gay people flirting on my screen? Zoe's turtles. It's a Zoe stream. Of course it's gay. Sometimes, Zoe forgets that her streams can be viewed and recorded by the entire world. Hence, Rumi and Mir always having to scold her about it when they wake up to Zoe screaming at a horror game on their timeline. She can't control what they think of her, or what's happening. Not any more than she can whenever she's on stage. It doesn't really bother her. It's just that, well, most of the Huntrix fan base, especially the ones that watch her streams, are women who also happen to like women. Which is fine, because she does too. Who doesn't? But it does mean that Zoe is subjected to at least a couple people on her stream asking her if she was dating Rumi, or that guy from the Saja Boys, or the other girl that she made contact with on that one variety show in the first year they debuted, or literally anyone she has ever spoken to, which is fine. She just wishes that they would at least give her one tip to improve this stupid game before she punches a hole in her desk from frustration of getting one tap through the wall like it's wall hacks. Wall hacks, she says. Zoe groans and shouts, "Are you kidding me? Oh my god, bro!" She can see her chat laughing at her in the corner of her eye again. Sulking, Zoe shoves a big stuffed toy onto her lap and faces her chair towards her chat monitor. She watches them whiz past as she grumbles some of their questions under her breath, until one catches her eye. "Where's Rumi and Mira? They don't want to play with you tonight?" "Oh, Rumi and Mira were busy all day. I felt bad asking them to hop on," Zoe explains. Rumi was busy talking to Bobby about some signage issues, and Mira was in the studio working out some kinks from the bridge. They sometimes like to join Zoe on her stream, not particularly because they want to, but more to spend time with her and support her, according to Mira after she grilled her anyway. More texts go by, ones that say, "Hop on what?" with those silly eye emojis, and Zoe can't help but bark out a laugh. "Hop on the game. Jeez, you guys," she explains and grumbles under her breath. Her smile is faint as she lets her chin rest on top of her fluffy plush toy. She can feel the ebbs of sleep already beginning to lick at her feet. "This might be my last game, honestly. I think we all need the sleep chat." She can see a bunch of her fans beginning to spam the chat with alms and sad faces. It makes her giggle. "I'll see you next weekend," Zoe insists. She tries to think about what she last promised, then adds, "And I think I was going to play that one horror indie game you all kept making me try. Who knows? Maybe Mira would want to play too." She punctuates it by steepling her fingers together like a supervillain. That gets her chat excited. They've always loved whenever Mira would join her for anything horror related. There was something about how Mira could keep her composure even as Zoe screams and jolts every 2 seconds next to her that captivates her audience. The fact that Mira's leg nervously bounces as her nails dig into Zoe's knee under the table and out of sight from the camera is a secret between them, and one that Mira told her was bound by blood. The same fan asks, "So what are they doing now?" Zoe sticks her tongue out while she buys a different gun, a shotgun this time, and runs to the other side of the map. When she gets into where she wants to be, she finally answers, "Rumi and Mira are probably getting ready for bed together." She doesn't really think there's anything wrong with what she said, so it confuses her when she can see her chat sending more exclamations and question marks in chat than usual. She can't exactly aim and read at the same time, so Zoe focuses on her game while letting the blurred words stay somewhere in her peripheral vision. Zoe stares hard at her monitor while she waits in the corner. She can hear a heavy footstep of an enemy coming by and holds her breath in her mouth. The enemy runs past without seeing her. Zoe punishes them by shooting them in the back with her shotgun. Cackling hard, Zoe runs away and takes the enemy's gun before more people could gang up on her. "Holy shit, that actually worked!" Zoe shouts, the adrenaline coursing through her body and making her bounce up and down in her chair. She remembers Rumi's words in the back of her mind, ones telling her to be a little more quiet, so she tries to tone it down. It doesn't really work. especially when she rounds the corner and spots another enemy, and Zoe shrieks so loud she feels it ripple in her throat. She tries to spam click her keyboard and pull out her gun, but she's shot twice in the body, and her character dies. No, chat, don't clip that. Don't clip that, she complains, but she can already feel and see the LOL spamming on her other monitor. Zoe puts her head in her hands and sinks against her chair, groaning all the while. This game is giving her a headache. Why did she let her fans decide what game she should play today? She should have just stuck with the farming simulator and kept romancing the farm girl on it. Someone knocks on her door. It's more insistent than Rumi's was. Still sulking, Zoe pushes her feet from the floor to let her chair roll closer to the door. She twists the knob and peeks her head outside, only to be met with Mira's indiscernible look. Zoe smiles at her, even as she actively melts into her chair from the embarrassment. Sorry about the noise, Zoe says meekly. She gestures to her gaming setup, the game still ongoing in front of her. I'm almost done, so you don't really need to worry about... Oh, I don't care about that, Mira says with a shrug. Be as loud as you want. It's funny watching Rumi jump every time you yell. Zoe snickers. She pulls the lever on the side of her chair to recline some more, just so she can get a better look at Mira's face. When she settles into a comfier position on her chair, Zoe asks, So, what'd you need? Mira wastes no time. Where's your toothbrush? I flattened the hell out of mine, so I need to borrow it for tonight until I can run out and get another, Mira asks, just like she's asking Zoe for time on her phone. Casual, like there's nothing wrong with it. Because there isn't really, at least to the both of them. The chat thinks otherwise. Mira's chair. Oh, that's... barks for Rumi. Sorry, the same toothbrush? Zoe's pulled answer. Hashtag freak tricks. Zoe glances at her chat and frowns at the comments. What? Haven't they shared a toothbrush with their friend before? She opens her mouth to ask the same exact question, but Mira interrupts her thought by asking, Is it still in Rumi's bathroom? Oh, I think so. Zoe blinks as she thinks about it. We slept at hers last Friday, right? After the broadcast? Then yeah, probably. Ugh, I could kiss you right now. Mira groans, resting her head on Zoe's doorframe. I am way too lazy to go out and buy one right now. And Rumi's back to using that weird water picking pick thing or whatever. It feels nice, Zoe defends, but she's laughing a little in agreement. But yeah, go ahead. Use Rumi's toothpaste though. Mine's running out. Mira snorts. Want to run to the store with me tomorrow? She asks. Zoe's already happily nodding her head yes. Mira's lips curl into that lazy smile of hers, the one that reaches her eyes in that bare, beautiful way, and Mira's already turning to leave. But something in Zoe tells her that she doesn't want her to leave just yet, so she calls out, Wait! Wait! Mira turns around to look over her shoulder, silently arching an eyebrow in question. Zoe realizes that she didn't really have anything to ask. She rakes her mind for something to say. She can hear the respawn sound notification come from her setup, and Zoe silently panics some more. The question finally comes to her. Sudden, but totally valid. Are we sleeping in Rumi's room tonight, or yours? Zoe asks. Probably in Rumi's, Mira says with a shrug. She chuckles and adds, You're still playing, and we both know how much she likes her beauty sleep. Oh, true, Zoe says thoughtfully, nodding her head. Mira breathes out a laugh through her nose as she turns to leave. Hey, leave some room for me this time, okay? I can't wake up with another sore shoulder, she complains. Mira reaches out to smooth out her shoulder, kneading her knuckles into the knot above Zoe's shoulder blade. She laughs as she answers, Fine. Don't knock when you're done. We'll just be in bed. They've been sleeping together in the same room after Gima's defeat. Well, they were doing that before, like when they'd get too lazy to slink back to their rooms staying up watching a movie, but now they've been doing it every night. They found each other's warmth comforting through cold nights like these, especially after finding out everything with Celine and how easy they could have lost each other. It wasn't hard to deduce that cuddles were an easy solution. Not that her chat needed to know that. And it's not like that was a secret. It was more of like an open secret, where they didn't really talk about it and no one asked because honestly, why would they? It's just cuddles in bed. All friends do that every night. All friends share toothbrushes and take turns being the one in the middle of a three-way cuddle pile. All friends think their friends are very pretty and beautiful and want to do everything to make them happy But Mira closes the door and Zoe settles back into her chair. Everything explodes. Zoe has inadvertently caused a bomb to go off. She can't even concentrate on her game with all the graphical tearing and her leg going crazy. Her chat is running up her second monitor so fast that she can't even read the words properly. While she usually enjoys it when her stream chat goes crazy with her, trying to concentrate and clutch up for her team was not one of those times. Predictably, when Zoe slowly sneaks around the corner, an enemy shoots her right in the head and teabags her body. She yelps at the noise. A few tense rounds go by, all with Zoe refusing to look at her chat so she can concentrate on winning. "Sorry guys," she mumbles into her mic. "I need to do this and make you all proud." She also can't help but thinking about bursting into Rumi's room, hands on her hips and declaring she won her first competitive match in this new game. The image of Mira and Rumi congratulating her and praising her for being so good at the game is so strong in her mind that it's all she can picture. But she doesn't have to admit that out loud. It can stay in her mind palace. The last round starts. Gulping, Zoe grips her mouse and presses her character forward into the foyer. She can hear gunshots from all ends. It's overwhelming, but she tries not to let it bother her. If she's actively sweating on camera, she can't tell. She lost all feeling in her upper body, and Zoe can hardly tell if she's overheating or getting too cold in her room. There's an enemy right in front of her, outlined in neon red. Zoe screams. She spam clicks her mouse. The enemy flicks around to look at her. She spam clicks once more, and the red screen of defeat flashes on her computer screen. Zoe takes off her headphones and groans out loud, pressing her hands into her face. She's not even sure why she thought playing an FPS game like this would be good for her mental health. "I am never," Zoe reiterates, facing the camera and pointing at her serious face, "never, ever playing this game again." She clicks around in the game until she finds the main menu. She can see her chat begging her to play one more round out of the corner of her eye, but Zoe puts her foot down and declares, "Nope, I'm quitting this game and never opening it again." As promised, Zoe closes the game. She hovers on the game icon and drags it all the way to the trash bin on her desktop, all while people in her chat seem to either goad her on or teasingly boo her for the rage quit. She holds her chin up high. "There," she says proudly. "The evil that has been plaguing my computer has been defeated." There's a chance she's going to fish it out of her trash bin and re-download it onto her desktop when she gets off stream. But that was a problem for future Zoe, not her. Zoe cracks her knuckles and puts her hands above her head in a stretch. A satisfied groan makes it past her lips. She's been sitting down and playing for so long that she's not even sure that her legs are going to work properly. That was, once again, a problem for future Zoe. "I can't believe some of you guys actually like that game." She wrinkles her nose as her chair swivels around to face her other monitor. "I was thinking about playing that farming sim on the weekend. Not sure though. What do you think, chat?" Her gaming setup bathes her in a gentle purple glow that pulses like a heartbeat. She can see herself from the stream preview on the monitor. Zoe smiles at her fans, then props her chin up on her hand while she checks out the newest comments. The comments seem to have cooled down a little since a couple minutes ago. It's still going a little bit too fast for her tastes, but Zoe is used to spitting out fast lyrics anyways. She knows how to catch up if it's the demand of her. Squinting, Zoe peers at the looming text on her screen. She tries her best to fish out the first few questions that she sees. But it baffles her when clearly her chat doesn't seem keen about talking about gaming recommendations or the crazy headshot that Zoe had hit earlier in the game. They're talking about... Zoe leans closer to look at her monitor to check if what she's reading is right. Her vision is a little blurry from all the staring and gaming, but it couldn't be that bad. Or maybe she should have taken Mira's offer on seeing the optometrist with her after all. Zoe mouths the words that she's reading, almost in disbelief. "Chat, what is..." She tries to mouth the word to herself, trying to fit it in her mouth in the most natural way possible. She really can't. Zoe frowns. "What the heck is Polytrix?" Zoe ends up asking, and she almost instantly regrets it when her chat goes from moving at 2 times speed to 200. Zoe's a fast reader, but she's not inhuman. She chuckles, partly amused but mostly nervous, when she sits back in her chair and looks at the blurred words passing by. "Guys, you're going way too fast for me. Yeah, even me, the fastest rapper in the world." She chastises. Let me just... Zoe takes a hold of her mouse to click around in her settings. She slows down the chat just enough so that she can read what they're saying to her. It kinda just confuses her some more. Freetrix Truther. Did we just get Polytrix confirmation on stream? Geo Lover 50. There's no fucking way, dude. This is crazy. Oh my god. Daehyun Dog. Hashtag Rumira on top. What do you mean? Mingy Mingle. I knew there was something zesty going on. Hunterix. Quick, Zoe, have you guys explored each other's bodies? Oh, wow. Zoe laughs to diffuse the tension, but it comes off stilted and even more nervous. So, when's the part where you guys let me in on the joke? She can feel some sweat drip down the side of her face, and she wonders if it's due to the past 2 hours of sweaty gaming or the situation unfolding in front of her. She doesn't even know what to make of it. Are they talking about some potential subunit of Huntrix, a merch line, their Lightstick's second version? Zoe nods on her thumbnail while she reads through some of the responses. A few of them are playing coy on purpose, but there's a handful in her chat that try to explain what's going on as best as possible. This is what Zoe finds out in just a mere minute of reading through her chat. 1. People are shipping her, Rumi, and Mira, which, duh, Zoe would be stupid not to know that it happens. She's been in the industry for nearly a decade, for God's sake. But 2, people are shipping them hard, and that Polytrix is currently trending. And 3, it's trending because of her stream, which apparently contains proof of Polytrix being real. Zoe sits there, a little lost as her fans begin to dump more information on her, information that she could have spent her entire life without. There are theories, gay-tricks, fanfiction recommendations, gifs and exclamation marks on top of exclamation marks of people begging her to talk more about it with them on stream. Now, look, Zoe loves to be open with her fans. It's her whole thing, really. She's the most online member of Huntrix, and there have been clips going viral of her playing tag with her fans or blatantly making references to their fandoms in her jokes. Her social media platforms are stuffed top to bottom with random posts and pictures of her on the toilet or eating a hash brown. It's fun for Zoe. It's just that this subsection of her fans get her a little confused. She doesn't even really know how to feel about it. At least Zoe thinks that she's not angry or uncomfortable or even upset. Just plain old confused. Do you guys really think that? She asks, incredibly disoriented. She's almost half expecting them to tell her that it was just a prank, coupled with a bunch of LOLs and laughing emojis like her fans often do with her. But they don't. After the bewilderment passes through her body like a hard kidney stone, Zoe shakes her head and blinks away her remaining confusion. She's still confused, but she knows that she needs to do something more than just stare at her screen for the next 2 hours in a catatonic state. Guys, come on, Zoe says with a laugh. She leans back on her chair and holds onto her plushie. She untenses her body as best as she can, trying her best to convey Mir's easy casualness. You guys know us. We're just friends. If we were dating, you guys would be the first to know about it. But we aren't, so, She shrugs helplessly. She doesn't know what else to say. Zoe's eyes flick back and forth while she reads through the chat on her screen. They're still going a little crazy, even with the slow filter on, but she's beginning to find less exclamation marks and cap locks on. It makes her loosen an imperceptible breath. Zoe makes an X over her heart and stands at attention for the camera. I swear we are not hiding a secret from you guys, she says as genuinely as possible. She even widens her eyes at the camera in that puppy dog way that Rumi complained about before due to its power. Cross my heart, hope to die, stick a needle in my eye. She remembers the demons right then and then quickly adds, swear, we're not hiding the fact that we're dating. We're just really good friends. Lifelong buddies, if you will. Really good buds. The chat seems more mellowed out by that. It begins to slow down to a more manageable pace, just like when she had first started the stream. There's one comment that reads, oh, so like sisters? Zoe's eyes deliberately flick away from it. Other comments are split between either saying that they're glad she cleared it up or that they don't believe her. Strawberry Rush. You're telling me that a group known for flirting with each other on stage and making goo-goo guys aren't into each other? Okay. Zoomy Zoe. Y'all, stop harassing her. Oh my god. Oompa Humta. I need you guys to be so serious with me. Lionheart. If I talk to my friends in the way you talk with your girls, they would have thought I wanted to marry them, bro. Zoe shifts her weight on her chair from side to side. She's not sure how to feel about all the comments. It puts something akin to a rock in her lower stomach, large and heavy. But it's not like it's threatening her with anything. It's just simply there, strange and peculiar. Zoe doesn't see any point arguing with her fans or commenting some more on it, like Rumi had told her a long time ago when she got into her first fight online with a hater. The more you add to the fire, the more reason it'll give to burn you. So, Zoe clasps her hands together and warmly smiles at her camera, even if it feels a little odd on her face. It's kinda late, chat. I should probably go to bed before I fall asleep on stream. Again. She barks out a laugh at the memory, and so does her chat. Zoe waves at her camera enthusiastically. I'll see you guys on the weekend. Not sure what time I'll start, but I'll let you know, she says happily. She glances at the camera again, more seriously, and points an accusing finger at her fans at home. And don't stay up too late. I stayed up so late as a kid, and now I'm stuck being this short. Don't make the same mistake I did. Sleep. Or else. Her serious facade breaks through when she cracks a small smile watching everyone's reactions in chat, and she laughs under her breath as she turns off the stream. As soon as her monitors go black, Zoe collapses against her chair and sighs. She can feel her breath being knocked out of her. She rubs her knuckle between her eyebrows. She can already feel a tension headache there, one that always appears when she gets a little nervous about something. It's a matter of time before her stomach starts to twist in knots with her anxiety too. Zoe cleans up her desk and places her headphones back on the stand next to her PC. She unplugs her phone from the charging stand nearby, but she doesn't look at the lock screen to be met with the flood of notifications that she knows will be bound to greet her. Instead, Zoe stuffs it into her pocket and makes her way into Rumi's room. She bursts through the door, just like she had imagined she would if she would have won her game. But she didn't, so the words that slip out of her mouth instead are, "Guys, I think I fucked up." Whoa. Mira looks up from her phone first, raising her eyebrows at Zoe in surprise. You don't usually say that unless you really, really fucked up. What did you do? Lightly groaning, Rumi puts her phone down on Mira's stomach and looks to Zoe with sleepy, squinty eyes. What happened? She asks, voice deep with exhaustion and inching sleep. Rumi has one leg over Mira's. She's cuddled up by Mira's side like Mira was her pillow, and Mira has a hand threaded through Rumi's messy, unbraided hair. They look as if they were in the middle of their bedtime social media scrolling. They're also both looking at her with equal amounts of confusion and sleepiness. Zoe can't help but coo at the sight. Aw, you two look so cute cuddled up like that, Zoe croons. Zoe, Mira lightly berates. What happened? Oh, right, Zoe says quickly. She walks over and jumps onto the foot of the bed, gently bouncing Mira and Rumi up from the mattress. They're still staring at her expectantly as Zoe continues. So, don't get mad, but I think I may have started some rumors, trend, or something. I don't know. I was just playing my game on stream and then people started... Rumi inhales so sharply that Zoe clamps her mouth shut. She sits up straight, staring down at her phone with her mouth agape, and she looks back up to Zoe with alarm. It takes a whole second for Rumi to finally find her words to ask. Zoe, what did you say? It's hardly accusatory. It's said more with concern, but it still makes Zoe cringe. She smiles at Rumi apologetically, twisting on one finger with her other hand. I'm sorry, Zoe says automatically. I didn't think I would. I thought I was... It happens, Zoe. It's fine, Mira insists. She sits up with Rumi, flipping her phone back over to check social media. Zoe closes her eyes to save herself from the embarrassment of seeing it for herself. She can hear them scrolling and tapping around on their screens all in silence. She keeps her eyes closed for as long as possible, but the curiosity becomes too much and she ends up scooting closer to them on the bed to check their phones. Even though Rumi's phone is upside down from where she's sitting, Zoe can still make out some of the posts on Rumi's timeline. She grimaces. They're basically rehashed things that her fans have already said to her when she was streaming. Mira leans over to them and recites from her phone. Am I the only one that was getting fruity allegations the entire time on Zoe's stream? What? Rumi hums an acknowledgement, then pauses on one post on her own phone and quotes, I can't believe that we're getting Huntrix allegations again before they've even teased their comeback. Zoe, what are they talking about? Mira suddenly snorts. Rumi and Zoe turn to look at her. Did you, I don't know, wave another gay flag at the screen by accident? Mira asks her, the amusement creeping up with every word. It was Pride Month, Zoe defends. It was midnight on July 1st. Of course people wouldn't, Mira argues. Zoe, Rumi says. It makes them swallow back the retorts at each other. Rumi's looking at Zoe, serious but not overly troubled, and asks, what happened when you were streaming? Zoe's face contorts in frustration. I didn't even do anything this time, she complains. She collapses on the bed with her face in her hands, and she rolls over onto her shoulder until her head falls flush against Rumi's thigh. Rumi laughs under her breath while she scratches her encouragingly on the nape of the neck. Zoe pouts up at them both. She tries to explain as briefly as she can, but she's always been the one to be verbose, especially when she's anxious. It takes her almost 15 minutes to finish her entire story, but Rumi and Mira don't interrupt her once. So, yeah, she finishes. She tries to recount the briefest summary of them just in case they couldn't keep up. People saw you guys walking in on my stream, thought we were boinking just because we sleep in the same bed, and now we're here. Beautiful rundown, Zoe, Mira says, all in a way that Zoe can't help but tell if she's actually being serious. Thank you, she says anyways, because her mother had always taught her to be polite. Rumi sympathetically pets Zoe's hair. She presses her lips together in thought, then tells them, I don't think you have to worry about it, Zoe. This kind of thing happens more than you'd think. Remember when we were performing at the Idol Awards a couple years ago? And wait, I'm already forgetting the hashtag. Wasn't it? Mira's shoulders shake at laughter as she answers. Hashtag Gaytrix? Zoe giggles despite herself. She doesn't remember the specifics of that entire week, but she remembers enough to look back at it and laugh. Fans had taken pictures of her and Mira plucking things out of Rumi's hair when confetti was caught in it during their performances, and everyone thought it meant they were dating. Ridiculous, obviously. Totally. Rumi lets out a small laugh of her own. Yeah, that. It happens. She shrugs at Zoe like it was no big deal, but Zoe can't help but frown. While Zoe's mulling over her words, Mira squints at something on her phone and muses. What does Polytrix even mean? Is that like a new cereal brand we're coming out with? That's what I said, Zoe says excitedly. Rumi huffs a laugh. It's a ship name for the three of us. Zoe, Rumi, Mira was a mouthful, so... She shrugs even as Zoe and Mira stare back at her blankly. Rumi stares back at them and sighs, then adds, ship name. Like a relationship? People are... Geez, Rumi, we're not that old. Mira interrupts with a wrinkle of her nose. We're just wondering why you would know that. Startled, Rumi says, well, you asked. And are you saying you think that I'm old? Well, Zoe drawls as she lulls her head back to look at Mira. Rumi's face is slowly turning a shade of red. It makes her demon pattern stand out a little more from her skin, and Zoe takes time to admire them even as Rumi defends. Hey, I know I don't post as much as you two, but I still have accounts. Plus, I've been in the industry since I was a kid. So? Mira asks, sincerely, yet just as teasingly. Rumi irritably sighs through her nose. Zoe giggles. So, Celine warned me things like this would happen, and the only thing she told me to do about it was not feed into it. I think it's been working perfectly fine so far, if you ask me. Zoe doesn't miss the way her eyes shift away from them at Celine's name. Mira notices too, but she wisely tries not to say anything about it. Instead, Mira asks, so what? We just pretend Polytrix isn't the top one on the global trending list right now? It's... Rumi physically freezes. It looks like it takes her a moment to compute what Mira had said, then she finishes stiffly. It's what? Zoe pushes herself up on the bed to check Mira's phone. The three of them press closer together to see it. Mira's never been one to lie, and lo and behold, hashtag Polytrix was indeed pressed up as number 1 on the social media app they're staring at. Zoe glances down at the related hashtags trending with it. Hashtag it's real, hashtag Polytrix on top, hashtag Rumi on bottom, hashtag Huntrix girls, hashtag to the gay world. Mira's shoulders are beginning to tremble with her laughter, and Rumi punches her on the arm. It does nothing to sway her. Zoe states the obvious. So I don't think that's ever happened before. Rumi glances up at her, apprehensive. Zoe doesn't know what to make of Mira's face. No, it hasn't, Rumi says finally, her tone even. I think the closest thing we got to this was when the hashtag Gaytrix was trending at what? Number 4? Thank God for that one girl group debuting and the comeback from a boy group during that week. Zoe should text those girls and ask how they're holding up sometime soon. From what she remembers, they're doing their first American tour next week. Her mind doesn't get stuck on that for very long. Not when Rumi starts to eye her suspiciously as she slowly says, as long as none of us make any comments about it, we should be fine. Right, Zoe? Right? Right what? She asks, blinking away her surprise. Half her mind was still thinking about what to say to that girl group. You didn't say anything after your chat started talking about it, Mira says, just as slowly. Right, Zoe? Her smile, full of guilt and shame, gives her away before she even says anything. Rumi and Mira groan out loud as she exclaims, It wasn't my fault. That's all they were saying to me, and I got curious. Oh my god, you opened Pandora's box. Mira groans. She slips against the bed to let her head rest against one of the pillows, putting her arm over her eyes like it would shield herself from the world. Zoe sulks as she slides in next to her. She hugs Mira by the waist in the way she knows Mira likes, and squeezes her. I'm sorry, she whines. I didn't know. Mira waves her other hand at her dismissively. There's a slight twitch of her jaw, a tell that gives away Mira's enjoyment of her cuddling, that makes Zoe smirk. Rumi falls against the pillow next to them. She scrolls on her phone, angling her screen in a way that lets Zoe and Mira, if she opened her eyes, see. Her timeline contains a few things they've seen over and over. Soja Boys definitely disbanded because they were smoking weed, and is anyone going to ask where the Soja Boys are now? And Huntrix tour date announcement soon, I can feel it. It's just that the hashtag Polytrix is beginning to infect the rest of Rumi's timeline too. Each time she refreshes her screen, more fans are using the hashtag begin to pop up. It populates her entire screen. Zoe is almost in awe at how many people seem to get behind it. And then there's the fan arts and the threads that Rumi tries to scroll quickly past. They're great, maybe let out a character in most of them for Zoe, as if she would blush that deeply for a kiss, please. But she can see the effort in them, the micro details, the care, as if their fans made sure to capture every part of their essence into it. It's impressive, if Zoe will be honest. Then, Mira makes a disgusted noise in the back of her throat. It seems as if curiosity had gotten to her too, and she's been actively looking through Rumi's timeline with them for God knows how long. It doesn't take long for Zoe to find out why Mira's face looks all twisted like that, and why she had been making those noises. Along with hashtag Polytrix, other hashtags begin to populate the trending list and Rumi's timeline. Lots and lots of other hashtags. Specifically, other ships. Mira leans closer to Rumi's phone and reads out, hashtag Zoistery, hashtag Zobaby, hashtag Mira. Ugh, again? Zoe's seen those ship tags float around before. They were more popular last year when the Soja Boys were clear in everyone's minds, but she hasn't seen them in a long while since then, at least until now. And there's other ships that Zoe hasn't seen before too. There's one for whom she assumes to be Rumi and the leader of the other girl group twice. Their pink-haired buff bodyguard they hired just once for the Met Gala, and even ships with other groups that Zoe hasn't even interacted with more than once. She bumped into the Magne from Hype Her once at a variety show, and she's never even personally met anyone from Venom. And yet, here she was, looking at fan arts and edits of her with them on her Rumi's phone. There's also Rumi and Ginu, but when Rumi sees the hashtag, she scrolls away so fast from it that Zoe barely has time to read past the hashtag in the post. Damn, Mira says. Zoe can't read her tone beyond surprise. So, should we call Bobby? Rumi sighs. She glances at her alarm clock, then presses her lips thinly together as she realizes it's already an hour past midnight. It surprises Zoe too. She swears she got off her computer at 11. We can call him bright and early in the morning, Rumi finally says. She frowns to herself. I don't want to stress him out with all of this so late. Besides, I don't think it'll be a big deal in the long run. You think so? Zoe asks. She presses her cheek against Rumi's shoulder and swipes her finger up on the screen. It brings forth a plethora of more hashtag Polytrix posts. There's like a lot, Rumi. Like a lot, a lot. I don't think I've ever seen something trend so much on every single app I have on my phone. At least it isn't anything illegal, Mira points out. She yawns and curls her legs inwards to stretch. It's just some harmless fan stuff. It's not going to do anything to us. Yeah, Zoe. Rumi agrees. She turns off her phone and yawns along with Mira, who smirks smugly at her for catching her contagious yawn. Rumi glares at her as she continues gently. And if it was anything really bad, Bobby would have been the ones to tell us. We're fine. We've dealt with way worse things than this. Zoe thinks of the demons they had to chase after early in the morning during their joint run. She grimaces at the memory of it. She would much rather deal with demons than face whatever fans have in for her when she wakes up in the morning. But she gets Rumi's point. The touch of sleep is already beginning to descend onto them. She can tell from the way Mira is beginning to curl in on her and the way Rumi is wrapping her leg around hers. It's natural for them at this point to seek out each other's comfort and warmth when slumber is there waiting for them. It's the only way they can finally find rest. Really. Zoe doesn't mind it in the slightest. Her eyelids slide shut and she can feel the faintest sign of a smile press against her lip as she feels Mira turn on her shoulder to cuddle in with her arm. She's not even sure that Mira knows she's doing it, with how much her breathing has steadied. Besides, Rumi mumbles, her breath warm, tickling Zoe's ear. She already sounds halfway into dream world. It'll stop by tomorrow. Or next week. If it was something bad, we would have known by now. Faintly, Zoe realizes that she hadn't even turned the lights off yet. She doesn't really care. Like Rumi said, if it was important, they would have been told off by now.